in the fabric and the structure of our society. So of course look, man, I lived in Moscow for 2 years.
Did you?
And yeah.
What were you doing over there?
You know, I was really kind of a fuck up as a kid, Joe, and
all my favorite people were.
Oh boy, yeah, I took it. I don't know, I took it to a different level maybe, but I was really lost as a kid. Got into a ton of trouble. Went to school, played a little bit of sports in school, but I was getting in a lot of trouble. Trouble with the law. Trouble, ended up not being able to finish school, and I got really into acting in college, almost as a whim, no aim. It was just almost on accident. And I met a wonderful woman there named Alma Becker, and she ended up marrying my wife and I. She was and she was sort of fascinated with Eastern European and Russian theater. And when I got done sort of like being in trouble and when I couldn't finish school, I had decided this is really what I wanted to do. And I really wanted to be an actor, but I had no kind of frame of reference. I didn't think it was any different than being a plumber, being a lawyer, being a cop. Like, what are the steps I have to do? This is what I want to do for a living. She sort of explained, well, it doesn't really quite work that way. But, she said that, look, if she were I, she thought that the best theater school in the world was the Moscow Art Theater in Russia. And she said, I can get you an audition for that school.
The best theater in the world is in Russia.
According to her. And
really?
And I certainly believe that. I mean,
really?
if you look at it, I mean, kind of historically, all of acting that we that we celebrate was really like the kernel of that all started at that theater, at the Moscow Art Theater.
Really?
Stanislavski and Chekhov, yeah. The first play they did was The Seagull, and they put that play together in a summer home outside Moscow, and then they came into the city and they put it on. And up until that point,
what year was this?
This was in the 1920s. So basically all theater, all acting up until that point was very presentational. It was very go to the front of the stage and kind of proclaim to the audience, face outward. And what Stanislavski came up with, what you hear in his method, which is not, like sitting in your own shit or having people call you your character name. That is not, method acting. This method that he came up with was really about realism on stage. So if you're drinking tea in a scene, really drink tea. Turn your back to the audience. Talk as if you're actually in the situation. And in 1933, they went on a world tour with this play, The Seagull. They went through Europe, and then they went to America. They went to San Francisco, to Chicago, and to New York. And that changed acting. All of the sort of great American theater training, from the group theater with Strasberg and Hagen, it all came out of their exposure to this one play. Nobody had ever seen acting like that. And it all started at this school.
How did they figure that out? Like,
how did who figure that out?
The Russians. What was the genesis of that?
I think it was it was this unbelievable conglomeration of a rejection of how theater was before that, but also like so many things, it takes this sort of perfect storm of people coming together. You had Chekhov, who look in the Eastern European world, and Chekhov to Russia is very much what Shakespeare is to us. You have this guy who is writing in this unbelievably realistic way, who examined human behavior. He was a doctor, and he really looked at it. He really looked at life sort of in this sort of like omnipotent or omnipresent way, like he was looking down on it. For example, you would have somebody who was you have a love story. The Seagull, there's always some confusion because it's called a comedy, but it's really ultimately the lead character takes his own, kills himself at the end, and it's very tragic. But from a doctor, there was something really funny about all these people who are in love with the wrong person. I'm spending my life wanting to love this person. I want this so bad. Yeah, but right next to you is a person who really loves you, and you're ignoring that. And just sort of the feebleness and the fragility of human behavior, and really examining it. These small characters, giving them real emotional life on stage. So you had this in the writing, and then you had this brilliant actor, director, Stanislavski, who just thought, what if we actually play this for real? And it was a completely revolutionary thing. It changed everything. It's the style of film acting and theater acting that is literally taken over everything today.
That's fascinating. I would have never known that. And so you go over there, and what is it like to go over to Russia? Did you understand and speak Russian? Did you have to learn that? Did they speak English?
So I was over there in the late 90s. It was a totally wild time to be there. And I think looking back at, maybe why Alma wanted me to be there was